forecast for price of housing expects a steady increase of about 2.5%. Displacement among the black community and a phenomenon known as root child.
Howard Theater gets established in 1911, and that helps anchor this neighborhood here as an entertainment district.
The Shaw neighborhood was once originally called Uptown and was once a pillar in the African American community. Shaw goes from Howard University down to Ben's Chili Bowl.
So when I was in high school in the early 2000s, the Shaw neighborhood was rich in black culture. There were a lot of musicians, like freelance jazz musicians that would play on the corner. I don't think they're there as much because I think they've been made to feel unwelcome. There was a lot. You would see like the Duke Ellington kids. They would do dancing and stuff in the park by the metro station. Of course, the famous go-go music on 7th Street.
Visited there quite often, and we also came over to the Northwest Corridor where Shaw is located to go to Ben's Chili Bowl, to go to the Howard Theater, the Lincoln Theater, and also just to some restaurants and clubs there.
The Shaw neighborhood was once an African American dream where people lived together, watched over each other's children, and even swept the street and walkways themselves.
Communal, as far as kids were disciplined, you had to follow rules. There was no staying out late. Once the street lights came on, you were relegated to come into the house, or if there were parents out on the porch or the stoop, you were allowed to play in front of the house within your block. But before the riots, DC was a sound and good community. But once the riots happened in '68, all of that changed. DC looked like, in many of the corridors, like a third world country. It looked like an Iraq or an Iran that have been bombed out. And with that came an influx of violence and drugs. It started out with the heroin. It's a great place to live, and hopefully the current mayor will make it affordable so that people that have lived here can remain here, and people that once lived here can come back and live. But that's all contingent on DC being affordable and housing made available to people that cannot afford $1 million condos. So thank you.
What was once affordable housing was now unaffordable for so many, so they were unable to come back. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Fabienne Butler.